Shalom, shalom, shalom. How are you all this evening? I am Atalia Yisrael, and we are on day 4 of Be Still, Be Quiet. And today we are going to just talk a little bit about resting in the presence of Yahuah. Now, of course, you know, today is Sunday. I did not do a video on yesterday because it was the Sabbath, which is literally a day of rest. It is a day that we are commanded to keep. And so I keep the Sabbath. Some people say the Shabbat. I keep the Sabbath because it is a commandment and because my Father in heaven kept the Sabbath as well. And so before I get started, let me just give you some of the scripture for today. So the first scripture is going to be Matthew 11:28, which reads, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." And here the word labor means to feel fatigued, to work hard, or to be weary. And then heavy laden means to be overburdened or overwhelmed, okay? So come unto me, all ye that work hard, that are weary, that are feeling fatigued, okay, that labor, and are heavy laden or overburdened, overwhelmed. And Yahuah says, I will give you rest, okay? So in regards to the Sabbath, I have Exodus 20, verses 8 through 11, which reads, "Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahuah thy Elohim. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahuah made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yahuah blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it, made it holy." Okay? And then also I have Isaiah 26, verses 3 through 4, which reads, "Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee. Trust ye in Yahuah forever, for in Yahuah is everlasting strength." Okay? So resting in his presence. So we know, life can be a lot. Life can be lifing, as the younger children generation says. Life can be lifing. And that just simply means that in life we can go through times where we're extremely overwhelmed. We can be overwhelmed with our job. We could be overwhelmed with our children. We can be overwhelmed in our marriage. We could just be overwhelmed in our businesses, just in everyday getting up, going through our daily routine. Nowadays, it can be extremely overwhelming. And I know for some people, whenever they get overwhelmed or overstimulated, they try to, and not everyone, but some of them look for other devices to kind of help with that, right? It could be whether they drinking, some people smoke, some people are like these exercise, I don't know what you want to call them, but they, it's like they got to go exercise every single day, and yes, I'm sure it's for health reasons as well, but I also know that it can be a way to let off stress, right? And so Yahuah doesn't tell us to do any of that, right? He tells us to rest in him, right? He tells us to cast our cares on him. He tells us to go to him, to rest in him, let him be our peace, right? And once we spend that time, that intimate time with Yahuah, where we are casting our cares on him, giving him his time, giving him the space to converse with us, minister to us, right? We are truly resting in him. then that is when we are able to get up with a renewed mind, a renewed strength, more energy, right? A better outlook even on whatever it is that we may be overwhelmed with. And so it's really just a matter of being consistent in resting in him, resting in his presence, because whatever we have going on in our life, everybody has something different, but Yahuah knows it all, right? He knows what you're going through. He knows what I'm going through. He knows what the lady down the street around the corner going through, right? He knows it all. He knows what everybody has to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And he also is big enough to where he can cover us all. Big enough to where he can give rest to us all. He's big enough to where he has enough strength to give to each and every one of his children. But we have to do our part, which is to go to him, to give it to him, to cast our cares on him, right? We have to do that. Even though he already knows what we're going through, he wants to know that when Natalia is going through life and she is crying or she is in an emotional state or whatever, he wants to know that I trust him enough to cast my cares on him, to bring my cares to him, to leave him at his feet, to give it all to him, to not pick it back up, right? But to give it all to him. And that I trust him enough to know that if I've given it to him, that he's going to work it out according to his will. And so I don't have to carry that burden anymore, right? I no longer have to be heavy laden. You see what I'm saying? So it's just a matter of being diligent and consistent in resting in him, because he doesn't want us to be weary and tired all the time and frustrated and stressed out all the time and disappointed and depressed. He doesn't want that. You know who wants that? The serpent. The serpent wants that, because he knows that if he can keep you in that mind state where you're overwhelmed and you're tired and you're frustrated and aggravated and all this other stuff, then as long as he has your mind stuck on that stuff, then your mind ain't on the Most High, right? Your mind isn't being renewed, right? Because you're constantly worried and thinking about the things that are stressing you out in life. But we know in order to renew our mind, we have to get into this word. This is what's going to renew our mind. And so the serpent is going to do whatever he can to get us off of having a renewed mind, right? He's going to do whatever he can to keep us from living that righteous life and making the right choices. And so I encourage you on this day that whatever you're going through, whatever you're overwhelmed with, give it to Yah. Allow him to handle it. Rest in him. He's telling us to rest in him, and that he will give us his peace that surpasses all understanding. Give it to him. Rest in him. Trust me. His shoulders are broad enough where he can carry it all. Better than we could ever imagine. Better than we could ever imagine. Okay? So as you're going through, your day, or you're journaling, as you're journaling or thinking or meditating, ask yourself, are you really resting in Yahuah? Right? Are you really bringing things to him and not keeping them stored up in here and replaying them over and over and over? Are you truly resting in his presence, allowing him to minister to you? Are you really doing that? And if you're not, why not? What's stopping you? Are you having issues or having trouble with your thoughts? Our thoughts, everything starts here, right? And so we know that we have to bring every thought into captivity unto the obedience of Hamashiach, right? Unto the obedience of Christ. But it starts here. That's a choice that we have to make. And it takes practice. I'm still learning every day how to bring my thoughts into captivity, right? Cast my cares on the Most High and rest in Him. So, I'm not going to make this super long. I just want you to know that He is available and He wants you to rest in Him. And so take advantage of that. Take the time to lay it all out for Him. And when you get up from resting in Him, I guarantee you're going to have a little bit more strength, a little bit more energy, a little bit more pep in your step, right? Because you've given your issues and your problems and your troubles to the one person who already knows how it's going to end, who already has it worked out, already. So, I hope you have a wonderful day. If you observe the Sabbath, I pray that your Sabbath was a day of pure rest. And I love you. Shalom.